Hi there. This is a short demonstration on how to do the German braid weave. I know a few people have asked about this, and I thought it might be helpful to kind of show you on a video the best way to do it. So this is a lot like triple twining. You're going to use 3 pieces of material, and to begin with, you are going to taper your 3 pieces. So this, what I'm using is 11/64, which is called for in the pattern that that some of you are using. But you can really use any size material. The 11/64 works nice in a basket. This basket is using 3/8 of an inch spokes or stakes that are pretty close together. So the look will change a little, will vary a little bit if your spokes are bigger or if your material is a little bit wider. But this is 11/64. I've taken 3 separate pieces and they're pretty long, and I've tapered them, probably for about 6 inches, if you can kind of see that. So there's 3 pieces. So we're going to start out with piece number 1. We're going to insert it behind a spoke, like that, and go over 2 and behind 1. The second one, if you can see that, over 2, behind 1. The second, we're going to insert 1 space over, but underneath the first one. You can bring it a little closer so you can see. And we're going to do the same thing, over 2 and behind 1. And we're going to go above this piece. Now, as you can see, what that does is form a V right here. Do you see that V? That V is going to be very important, so keep that in mind. Okay, so now we're ready to insert the 3rd piece. So we're going to go, it'll be in the 3rd spot over to the right. They're in consecutive spaces, as you can see. Again, we're inserting underneath our weavers and behind. And you can kind of hold it in the back. As you can see here, I'm just kind of holding it with my fingers. And again, you're going to go over 2. But now, see that V that I mentioned that the other 2 weavers formed right here? We're going to go between those. So over 2, behind 1. We're going to have to move out of the way. And we went right in between that V, right there. Okay. Now again, just like in 3-rod wale or triple twining, whichever you'd like to call it, we always work with the weaver on the far left. So in this case, that's this weaver. And again, we have a V, a slight V that's been formed here, right here. We're going to go in between those pieces. So it's always over 2, move 1 piece out of the way. I'm just kind of moving it out of the way, behind 1. And there you go. Now this top piece is the one on the far left. And again, there's our V that we're looking at. We're going to go over 2. Move this piece out of the way. Ooh, there you go. Move this piece out of the way. Over 2. Behind 1. There's another V. So we're going to go in between here. Piece on the left, over 2, move this piece out of the way, behind 1. Over 2, move this piece out of the way, behind 1. Over 2, behind 1. You should still always have 3 separate pieces coming out of 3 consecutive spokes. So here's number 1, here's number 2, and here's number 3. Unlike triple twining, they're not all going to be in the same level. You're going to have 1 higher, 1 in the middle, and 1 lower. The middle and the lower pieces are the ones that are forming that V that we're looking at. There's the V, and we're going basically in between those, so you always have to move out that middle one, move it out of the way. Get it out of the way and make sure it comes back to its space after you go through. So over 2, be over 1, 2, behind 1. Again, we're moving this one out of the way. And then putting it back in place. So try that all the way around. Once we've finished a row, we will come back to the beginning and I will tell you how to keep on going. Basically, this is a continuous weave. The reason that we tapered is so that when we end, we'll also taper the ends in the same spot where we began so that your weaving will be even. Okay, we're back. Now I've finished 2 complete rows around the basket. So I'm gonna do an up close shot so you can see how that 2 rows stacks up. Now right over here is where we began, and basically you just go right on top of where you went in the beginning. Again, it's continuous weave, and you have tapered those beginning pieces, so at the end when you taper your end pieces, you'll end up with the same height. Now one of the ways to tell if you're doing this correctly, and I'm going to take a close look, is you'll see how the pieces stack up on the inside. It might be easier to see it this way. You'll have pieces that slant this way and pieces that slant this way. As long as each one of your rows stacks up just like that, you know that you are getting the pattern correct. Sometimes that's a key way to be able to tell if you've made a mistake. If suddenly one piece anywhere on the basket looks different, then you'll know that you've made a mistake somewhere and need to, let's see if, there you go. So here's a quick inside shot from a wider angle so you can kind of see overall how it looks. And then I'll show it to you from the outside. We'll just spin it around. And you can see how it looks. So I'm going to do a few more rows, then I'll show you how to end it. And you should be all set. The pattern that I think some of you are working on is the Braid Weave Basket by Joyce Flowers. I can't remember how many rows she says in that pattern. I would just go up as many rows, or sometimes it's a number of inches, like go up a certain number of inches. You do want to keep these rows packed down as you weave. It's hard to go back after and do any packing. So I would kind of pack as you go. I'll come back when I've done a few more rows and I'll show you how to end it off, and you should be good to go. Thanks so much. Okay, we're back. And now I've done a few rows, as you can see here, and I have ended, or I have stopped for a minute right before where I started. If you can look in there, you can see that right here is where I started. So I stopped in the 3 spaces before where I started, and you can see where they're coming out here. Right here. So this is the one right here that I started in. So I tapered the end of these pieces, again, for about 6 inches, about the same distance that you tapered in the beginning. And now we're just going to finish weaving these pieces. So again, we're doing the same thing, starting with the leftmost weaver, going over 2, into that V, behind 1, and back out. Now this one, over 2, into the V, behind 1, and out. Oh, and see, as you can see, I made a mistake there. So we're going to pull that back a minute and figure out where I made the mistake. Let's see. We have that coming. I'm going to pull back out just a little bit more. We're coming out in the wrong spots here. Okay, so now here, here, and here. So this one goes like this, and then this one. Over 2, into the V, behind 2 and out, there we go. Leftmost, over 2, behind 1, over 2, again, into the V. I'm just about finished. Over 2, behind 2 and out, over 2, behind 2. I'm going to do this until just about the end when you don't have any more room. So there you go, we're done with that one. Tuck behind that one, and we'll tuck this one behind too. So what will... Okay, so here we are at the end. The tapering at both where we began and where we ended allows it so that the continuous weave is even. All of your weaving is even all the way around the basket. So that's the German braid weave. Now, as I mentioned earlier, one of the ways to tell if you've made any mistakes is if you look on the inside of the basket. And you can see here all of the weavers go the same direction. They stack up nicely. You can see how that looks on the inside. If you had something wrong, you would know right away. So it's always good to check every couple rows on the inside of your basket, and you can see if you made any mistakes. And that's it. That's the German braid weave. If you have any questions, let me know. You can check me out at www.basketweavingsupplies.com. You can also check us out on our Facebook page at basketweavingsupplies.com. And if you're interested in finished baskets, there's always hookandweavedesigns.com. Thank you so much.